Check, check, check. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing today? Awesome. Put that right there. Can we give a round of applause for Josh, everybody? So I'm excited. As Josh did say, we do stream this all over the world. We have people coming all the way even from Davenport to watch this thing. It's awesome. But, of course, it's me. I have to start with a joke. It's me. I have to. I love jokes. But so the joke I want to tell today, it was about this young man who ended up having to take care of his mom. And his mom found out she got sick and she had to come live with him. So she was there, and one day he was out and he came home and found his mom laying on the ground, passed out, don't know what happened. He was like, oh no, what's going on? He called 911. The ambulance came and got her, took her to the hospital. So he went to the hospital and he's waiting, you know how you do at the hospital. You're walking back and forth on the hallway, trying to figure out what's going on. You're like, I want to help, but I can't. And he goes, the doctor finally comes out and goes, so I got some good news and I got some worse news. And he goes, okay, well, give me the worst news. He goes, okay, well, your mom, she's good, but you're going for the next 20, 30 years that she's alive, you're going to have to bathe her, you're going to have to feed her, you have to clothe her, you have to take care of her. And when she needs something, she makes this weird, loud, screeching noise because she can't talk. So when you hear it, you know she needs something. And he goes, man, that stinks. He goes, yeah, you got to feed her, you got to take her to the doctor's appointment, you got to carry her everywhere. She can't walk, she can't do anything. He goes, man, what's the good news? He goes, oh, I'm just Josh, and she died. I love that joke. I don't know why that joke is so bad, but it's so funny. How many know you can't laugh at that? You can't laugh at anything, right? You got to be able to laugh at stuff like that. But today, that was great. I at least got one good laugh out of Mr. Scott over here in the corner. This is great. But today I want to talk about firing your inner boss. Firing your inner boss. And how many of you know, and it's crazy, I found this stat, and how many of you know most of the time the reason people leave their jobs is because not of the jobs they do, because of the people they work for. The bosses they have. And another way to say it is people leave companies because of the bosses that they choose to serve. The bosses they choose to serve. And I love what Abraham Lincoln said. Abraham Lincoln says, if you want to test people's characters, just give them power. How many of you know that he probably out of any president figured that out pretty early on? He went through one of the hardest times in the U.S. history, and he was, in my opinion, one of the greatest leaders this country ever had. And he is, I think, was a pretty good leader, I think. But how many know when you get promoted, what comes out of you sometimes is not confidence, it's your insecurities. It's your insecurities. Things that you're afraid of letting out. And one of the greatest things I found out as a leader is if you can overcome your insecurities, confidence will follow. Confidence will follow. Because how many of you know that once you overcome something, you feel better about yourself? You go, I can do this now. I love this. It says, potential may give you power to control, but trust will give you more. I love when a dyslexic tries to write notes. It's perfect. You'll interpret it? We got it. But how many know when a leader leads, there's a difference between a boss and a leader. A boss leads to control, but a leader leads to influence. But today, if it's okay, I want to give you 5 points that I feel like that can help fire our inner boss. Can I do that today? Cool. So point number 1, a boss instills fear where a leader instills confidence. A boss instills fear where leaders instill confidence. But how many of you know fear generally leads to inaction? But confidence leads to overcoming. Confidence leads to overcoming. One of the greatest things I feel like in life and in leadership is having people in your corner that can motivate you and help you and believe in you no matter what you're going through. This next one's awesome. A boss, point number two, I'm going a little quick today. A boss assigns blame, but a leader takes responsibility. A boss assigns blame, but leader takes responsibility. One of the greatest leadership lessons I think I've ever learned was when my dad told me a story about when he was dealing with a situation, and he walked into a room and there was a bunch of people in this room, in this boardroom, and they were all arguing, trying to figure out whose fault it was. Whose fault it was. They were blaming each other, they were yelling each other out, they were cussing each other out. Anything you can imagine to get the other person to feel bad about what happened, they were doing it. And my dad said he walked in the room and slammed his fist on the table and said, "It's my fault. Now how are we going to solve it?" One of the greatest things a leader can do is take the responsibility even though it wasn't your fault. Because as soon as you can get over the problem, the solution will automatically reveal itself most of the time. I love this. Point number 3 is a boss demands loyalty, but a leader extends trust. A boss demands loyalty, but a leader extends trust. One of the greatest things I believe in leadership is trusting your team. It's trusting your team to make decisions. I don't know why, whenever I think of leadership, how many know sometimes, a lot of us have been bowling in here, right? So we've been bowling, and when you go and you want to cheat a little bit and you get those guide rails up on the side, How many of you know, I feel like in leadership, having people in your corner that want you to win, that want you to succeed, is almost like having those cheat rails up on the side. But here's what I found out. A lot of people, it's like, how many of you have been in a car and there's people that don't want to ask for directions because they don't want to be embarrassed because they think they know where they're going, but they don't? How many of you know, as leaders, sometimes we get so confident in what we know that we're so scared to ask for help, even though it may feel like cheating, it's really helping us to success. One of the greatest things you can do in your life is have somebody in your corner that will go, "Hey, Bo, why don't you come back to the center?" And I'm just going to state this, and my amazing teacher is here, Miss Farmer. And she was one of those people in my life when I was younger and I had dyslexia, and I still have dyslexia. And for y'all that don't know what dyslexia is, it's a fun thing that makes your brain do things it shouldn't do. It's a simple way to put it. And she'll probably come up and correct me later on how I said that, but that's the nicest way to put it. But one of the greatest things I found is she was one of those guardrails in my life that came in and said, "Hey, dude, here's where the ball's going to bounce back to the middle. Let me be that person in your learning to help you figure that out." Having the people in your corner that will go bounce stuff off of. To date, I'm probably not one of the most people in my dad's life that I will call my dad and go, "Hey, Dad, I know you trust me with this, but does this seem right to do in this situation?" Because even though I can see the whole picture, sometimes you're so blinded by your own situations, you can't see the big picture totally. But how many know a boss? How many know when you just hear a point, you're like, "Man, that's good." I don't care who you are, that's good right there. But how many of you know a boss will sometimes control things, but a leader is there to transfer things? Because how many know, have you ever heard the term helicopter parent? But how have you had those helicopter bosses that they entrust you with something, but then they want to micromanage every situation you get into? But a leader goes, "I trust you with this, so I'm going to let you lead this, and then if I need to step in, I will." But how many know a boss will often not admit to weakness, but a leader will say, "I need help"? It's like I was talking about earlier. One of the greatest things you can do as a leader is admit you need help. I don't know about y'all, but I need help 24/7, 365 days out of the year. And I'm not ashamed to admit that. But how many know as soon as you're able to admit that, that's another hurdle you can go achieve and go over. I love this. People admire your strength, but they a lot of times will go they will go to war because you're honest and you admit their weaknesses to one another. One of the greatest things is, how many of you know, is when you can share your story of past mistakes. I always say this. I always say that I want to remember where I came from, but I never want to focus on where I've been. Because how many know when you focus on your past, you live in your past. But when you remember your past, you can focus on the future. And there's a massive difference between focusing and remembering. Focusing and remembering. Number 5. And this is my final point, but I love this point, and it's so good. And it simply says, no one expects you to be perfect. No one expects you to be perfect. One of the greatest things about firing your inner boss is failing and failing and failing until you figure out what the right thing to do is. I said this at our locker room the other day, and I simply said this, I asked enough crazy questions till I figured out what the right questions were to ask. I asked enough dumb questions till I figured out what the right questions were. And in life, how many know? I remember when I was a kid, and I used to annoy the snot out of my mom, because I would ask a question every breath. Hey, Mom, what are we doing here? Hey, Mom, what are we doing here? Hey, Mom, what about this? And I remember one day she went to my dad, and she goes, Tim, he won't stop asking me questions. What do I do? And he goes, honey, he's a leader. He's going to ask questions. Leaders ask questions. If leaders don't ask questions, then we got a major problem. One of the greatest skills, if not the greatest skills in leadership, is to ask questions. Because without questions, you don't know where to go from there. I love this quote. It simply says, a boss has a title, but a leader has the people. A boss has a title, but the leaders have the people. One of the greatest things you can do is be one of the people. Be a leader of the people, don't be a leader above the people. I love this. It's not about a title or a position, but it's about trust and influence. It's about trust and influence. I love what Arnold Palmer said. It says most of the time, the most rewarding things you do in life are often the ones that look like they cannot be done. I love things in life when somebody tells me, oh, you can't do that. And I want to go, watch and learn, baby. Watch and learn. Because I get fueled by people's doubt in me. But I also get fueled by people's love and trust and encouragement in me. Because I love to prove people wrong, but I also love to prove people right. One of my greatest things is my dad and my mom have spoke into my sister and I's life about things that they but they know that we can do. And one of the greatest things in my life is not to let them down in those visions they have in my sister and I's life. That'll sink in a little later. But how many of you know one of the greatest things you can do is when somebody gives you something? How many of you know when somebody gives you a gift and you don't take care of it as good as if you bought it? You take ownership. Well, being a boss is like if somebody gave you something. But being a leader is like if you bought it yourself. You take ownership. You take ownership. I remember when I was a kid, and I remember when I got my very first set of golf clubs. And I love golf. And I remember my dad gave them to me, and I still have my first driver I ever had. And I remember this, he probably doesn't remember this, but I remember this as a kid. He said, son, this game will teach you so many things. But one of these things this game will teach you is how to be patient, how to lead, and how to be aware of your surroundings. But most of all, it'll teach you how to lead yourself well. Because if any of you have ever been golfing, one of the biggest things in golf is being aware of your surroundings. Being aware of your surroundings. And I want to say thanks to my amazing father for that. Because now I took those skills I learned on a golf course as a 4-year-old kid that I can apply to my leadership life now. But I want to end with this. You know, we here at G5, we have these values. We have these values, and it's honor, order, and authority. Honor, order, and authority. And those aren't rules, because leaders have, bosses have rules, leaders have values. And I want to encourage everybody watching online, everybody in this room, to get the values in your life that a leader would have, but that a boss would want to follow. Get values in your life that a leader could lead, but a boss would want to follow. And you're saying, Blake, that makes no sense. Here's one of the greatest things I found out in my life is people that don't, I'm not beating on college or any of that stuff, but how many know I have so many friends that go to college that end up working for people that didn't go to college? Because how many of you know the people, I never graduated college. I barely graduated high school on the seat of my pants. And I loved it because Miss Farmer was like, okay. But how many of you know the things you do in your life now will determine what happens in your life when you get older? The choices you do now determine the choices you have when you get older. So I want to encourage y'all, be a leader that is worth following, but also be a leader that's worth taking notes after. One of the greatest things in my life was my father taught me at a young age that leaders take notes. If you want to have a noteworthy life, take notes. If you want to have a noteworthy life, take notes. So I just want to encourage you to be yourself. The greatest thing you can do in leadership is be yourself. Don't let other people influence what they want you to be. Be who you are, and the leadership skills will come out after that. So without further ado, I want to say thank you for tuning in this week. I want to say thank you to the online. First of all, can we just give a round of applause to everybody around the world that's tuning in? But without further ado, I want to bring up my amazing father. Please help me welcome Mr. Tim Goad, everybody.
Come here. Dude, that was freaking ridiculous. I told Josh, I said, I love when they play the game better than I do. I'm going to encourage you. We got to get that put together, and I want you to text it to me because I'm going to text it to about 100 of the greatest leaders in the world and go, you need this stuff. Isn't that great? So Blake, incredible. Thank you. Thank you. I love to see a pro in motion, and I've known since he was a little tiny baby that his life was going to make a major difference. And I just want to let you all know, I'm going to make a few comments and then we'll start, okay? I just came in today and got a call from a friend of mine that owns several companies in Pennsylvania. And he says, hey, would your children come and speak to this generation on how to raise the next generation of leaders? And so how many of you know this is growing, right? And it's Jericho, right? Up there? No, right here. Josiah. I got the J right. This is one of the smartest young men you will ever know in your life. And I am so proud of you, Scott, for the way that you put him under your arm and take him with you and set him in the seats. You know, we ask 18-year-old men to learn how to fly $80 million jets. But we won't let them come into a boardroom to learn how to make the greatest financial decisions of their lives. And so let's don't keep them on the outside. Let's get them in the inside so we can do what we need to do. I'm so honored that you're here today. This is so fun. We got to decide, how big do we want this to get on Tuesday? Or do I want to move it to Saturday and do like a morning session? I'm going to go, hey, God, what do you want me to do here? I'm ready, right? And I love doing these small, this is kind of a leaders of leaders meeting, and all of you are just so talented and gifted. But I I want to keep reaching more and more people. And so I know we can do that. By the way, he also asked me, he said, if you come in and do this, can we also do a locker room? Can we also do a girl talk? Can we also do a men's call? So I'm like, yes, we could do it all. How many of you know we need to believe God for a G5 jet? Yeah, because we're going to be flying the globe. That was incredible. You know, Blake, that was so valuable. I would encourage you to fire that inner boss and hire an inner leader. Somebody that honestly knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way. And it is so life-bending to see the power of what you can do. You know, God makes turtles and snakes and deer and horses, and that's all they can ever be. But you as a human being can decide what in your heart you want to become. And I think it's one of the coolest things, because at Ritz-Carlton, they tell people that make beds and clean the floors, you're not a janitor and you're not a bed maker. You're not a maid. You are a lady and gentleman serving ladies and gentlemen. How many of you know when you change somebody's self-worth, you change their destiny? And so in your company, in your culture, I just want to encourage you that these principles, like I want to take these 5 points and add them into our values and our behaviors here at G5, because I just think one of the greatest challenges in life is not to get to the place where I get so me focused that I don't keep it open. And I think leaders sometimes in our desire and type A personalities, we're very controlling. But we don't mean to be, we just are. And if you're wondering if you're a type A personality, when the elevator, you walk to it and you hit the button and the door doesn't immediately open, you hit the button 4 more times, you're a type A personality. I just want to let you know that. And some of us just, and you know, hey, I expect this right now, right? I don't expect it right now. I expect it right now. So it's one of those things. Hey, today, I want to talk to you today about the power of increase in your life. The power of productivity. How many of you would like to get more done in less time? Yes. How many of you would like to make more money in less hours? Yes. How many of you know that more is not always more? So you've got to find out the more that you're putting in your life. Is it really the more that you want in your life? I happened to watch a television evangelist one day pass me in an airport, and he happened to be way overweight, and he was sweating profusely, and he was running for an airplane. And I remember telling God at the time, I'm not big enough. Now, we were doing about $200 million a year in aid around the world. I was coaching 2,000 pastors, and I couldn't answer a simple question in a board meeting when all the board members looked at me and said, "Are you successful?" And I said, "I'm effective, but I don't know if I'm successful." If you don't know what success is, you will never know what productivity is, because you will spend the rest of your life doing things you think you need to do that really someone else should be doing, even the stuff that you enjoy the most. I love my children. They run literally everything around here. I know you think that Blake just plays the drums and Bree just is this worship leader, but truthfully, I've trained them since they were tiny, not on yesterday's ideas. Do you know what's awful in life is when you get trained on horse and buggy and everything went to outer space. So we need to train our children. We need to be training our employees. We need to be training people around us, future leaders, to the future, not to right now. And I will tell you, leaders, and I want you to hear me please very clearly, this is one of the most vulnerable moments in your leadership. Because anytime you let somebody know that they can be more, they want to challenge you. I know I just want to stay comfortable. I have so many friends of mine that own construction companies, and they pretty much believe, I'm not against construction workers, that construction workers just want to pound a nail and drink a keg of beer. And I just believe tonight I will speak on this about being great and believing that we can do great things. Is, I think, one of the most painful things in life is to see somebody who wastes their lives. I think there's something way further, just so awful. And I don't think it's when people die. I think it's when they live their life and they waste it. Wasted years and a wasted life. So if you want to be more productive, you've got to have, now let me tell you, in the business world, can I use some business terms on you? Which I just wish, honestly, I wish we would lose our fancy language and just talk to each other, right? It's like you get to a bunch of medical professions and they got a word that long to say, I got an ingrown toenail. I'm like, okay, there you go. I love that. But how many of you know educators want to make things more difficult? Communicators want to make things more easy to understand. And the easier and the clearer that you can make it, the more powerful it will become in your life. Your sales pitch, whatever you do. So here's what I want you to think about. You have to develop technical mastery. Now that is a big word, okay? And I'm a little different than a lot of other gurus that are out there. First of all, I'm not a guru, but the second thing of it is I don't believe in these new agey words. What it means to me is I've got to master the basics. I've got to master the basics. I've got to master the mundane. Can I ask you, when no one is looking, do you still give your best? And do you right now see yourself as the best at what you do? And if you don't see yourself as the best in what you do, my question for you is why not? Why not? Why would you and I ever think somebody should pay us for half service? It is amazing to me right now, in order to get a glass of water in a lot of restaurants is a miracle. And you ask for something and they look at you like you honestly do not even know how to speak. But they get really nice when they bring the check, because now they think they're going to get a tip. Right. Let me get mean for a minute. A lot of marriages are that way. Let me treat you very disdainfully, and when I want a tip, then guess what? I'm going to be really nice to you. Life does not work that way. Business does not work that way. So when you look at your life right now, if you're going to increase productivity in your life right now, you have to learn how to self-motivate. You've got to learn how to reach inside of you and learn how to turn the clock on to get the job done when you don't feel like doing it. Now I'm going to punch pause for a second, because I just got to be very transparent with you. I know there's a lot of leaders that want to talk about self-motivation, and I believe in self-motivation. I believe in reading and listening and associating. I do. I believe in going and making myself better. But I believe there's an unfair advantage that you and I have if you will give me just 1 second to introduce an idea to you. How about if the power of the universe, God Almighty, wanted to come and put a fire in you that you can't put out, and a fountain in you that you can't drink at all. And so now your life is so motivated. I want to say this to you right now, okay? Your job is a powerful thing to give you what you need in this earth, but it will never motivate you to be all you were created to be. You were designed to have a mission and a purpose that's greater than any job or any money could ever give you in your life. And if the better, watch this, the better you work on this mission and purpose, the more powerful and money you're going to make over here. Why? Because the same character it takes to make a difference is the same character that causes you to make a big difference in the lives of the people that you serve. All right, I'm going to let you just settle on that for a second, okay? So when you and I get to understand that we get to be known, we get to develop a reputation of setting personal standards. At G5, when you come here, when you look at the sign, it says passionate about life with a spirit of excellence. And let me tell you, The passion about life is the easy part. The excellence is the tough part. Now, it's easy to be excellent for an hour. It's easy to be excellent for a day. But to have excellence in your life when no one's looking and you no longer will let the bar be set lower on you, because I promise you, leader, as soon as you start setting the bar lower on you, everyone around you will start setting a lower bar. And it's why companies that could absolutely make the biggest impact on the earth end up not making any impact at all. So as you move through this, I want you to know you're just unfolding yourself right now. You're unwrapping the package to be the best person you can be. And this is what I love. A rising tide raises all ships. When you get better, it gives other people an opportunity to get better. I will also tell you this, leaders, when you get better, it's going to be a crowd separator. The people that want to get better are going to be happy, and the people that don't want to be better and want to stay lazy are going to get mad at you. And you got to know who it is. I told a leader the other day, do not ever try to take somebody that wants to be managed and start trying to lead them. You'll frustrate the mess out of you and out of them. So you've got to find out what their makeup is. Well, I only want leaders around me. Well, the reason leaders are leaders is because we need other people to lead other people, to encourage other people, to support other people, to challenge other people, to recognize and reward people. Okay, I'm going really fast right now, but I know you're catching this, okay? So in your life right now, if you want something, here's what I want to tell you right now. Don't expect everybody to come along and say, oh, that's what you want? I would like to give it to you. Oh, yeah, and you're doing it for your family. You're doing it for God. Look, I'm a pastor, and I got to tell you, I don't think I deserve everything for free. I tell people that I do work with, you need to make money. We all need to make money. I don't believe waitresses, and I got to tell you, in my life right now, over the last year, God has dealt with me more on how I treat people that serve than probably any other single thing in my life right now. Now, that may be surprising to you, but it's so easy to see somebody that made your bed at the hotel as somebody that's just supposed to do it instead of rewarding. And I'm having the biggest fun in my life right now, tracking down people and saying, hey, I just want to say thank you. Your excellence is rewarded. Whoa, I think there's something powerful in that. I think there's something powerful. Instead of trying to catch people doing something wrong, start catching them doing something right. And I think it changes everything. So I know many times in our lives, there's just honestly, if you're going to win in life, a lot of doors are going to be closed in your face. You're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of, I don't know what you're talking about. You're going to get a lot, you got to be kidding me. But I just want to encourage you right now, if you will keep moving, I don't care how many no's you encounter. I do not care how many no's you encounter. I can tell you this, I love what Isaiah Thomas said. When he was getting ready for a basketball game, this is what he said. I'm either going to shoot us in or I'm going to shoot us out of the game. There's something about the power of a mind that's made up that I'm going to be in the game and I'm going to be all in, and I don't expect to be perfect, but can I tell you, I'm either going to shoot us in or shoot us out. But if you think I'm going to be over here on the sidelines, uninterested, unengaged, you got another thought coming. Leaders, it's your and my responsibility to lead people in shooting. They shoot some good, they shoot some bad. I just encourage you, get them shooting and watch what happens in your life. This is so true in every one of our lives. Some people keep saying to me, well, as soon as I, well, as soon as I, well, as soon as I. Don't ever become a part of the, well, as soon as I bunch of people. As soon as I get through my divorce, as soon as I get through money issues in my life, as soon as I get past this, can I tell you? People that say, as soon as they're a group, not a team. Because a team has never said, well, as soon as then you can count on me. They come in and say, no, put the ball in my hands. I'm either going to shoot us in or shoot us out of this game. And when we do this, it's amazing what happens. So as you and I begin to move forwards, okay, understand this, leaders. Your belief and your spirit of excellence to be productive is going to irritate a lot of people. And you think something's wrong with you, they'll tell you something's wrong with you. They will speak bad about you. But here's what I can tell you. You keep setting the standards, not preaching a message. Ooh. It's so much better when it's lived than when it's said. So I just want to encourage you in your life. And I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to give you 10 practical things real quick, okay? And so I hope you're with me. I hope you're with me. I hope you can write fast. Here's what I want to encourage you today. I want you to become unreasonable. I want you to become unreasonable. I want you to become unreasonable when it comes to judging people. Don't judge people. Become unreasonable. When it comes to your appearance, become unreasonable. When it comes to excellence in your life, become unreasonable. Well, I don't think that's reasonable. Reasonable never got anything good in life. It's always the people that are honestly unreasonable that make the difference, that open the doors and get the productivity that all of us so desperately want in our lives. Can I tell you right now, I'm talking to a big group of unreasonable people. You have unreasonable dreams. You have unreasonable hope. You have unreasonable faith. You've got unreasonable commitment. And the world doesn't know what to do with us. But you know what? We understand what leadership is. And we understand the first person I've got to lead is me. And wow, that's just not very easy. But I want to invite you today to become a part of the unreasonable. So, 10 ways to increase your productivity. That was the opener. So maybe we'll have to split this up. I don't know. Number one, prepare before you get started. Prepare before you get started. Winning means nothing if you're not willing to prepare. One of the things I look into leaders' lives that I coach is how willing are they to prepare. I think you're going to agree with this statement that I'm going to say to you right now, okay? Productivity doesn't just happen. Excellence just doesn't. It just doesn't happen. Somebody's got to do something, and I can tell you this, it happens long before you even sit down and get to work. You've got to prepare your work ahead of time and get really clear. Write that word clear if you're writing, and if you're texting or typing, write that word clear really big. Clarity is so critically important for you right now. If I could do anything for you right now, I would clear up the unclear so that you can move forwards in a way you never thought you could. So when you get clear about what you exactly want, I had a call with a leader this morning, and I said, well, what do you guys want? Well, we're just not being as productive. I ask you, what do you want? How do you want to live? Well, that's my problem. I just don't want anything. I said, so you're telling me that you don't want to eat in a nice restaurant. You're telling me you'd never like to go on a nice vacation. You're telling me you wouldn't like to have a car that actually ran. You're telling me, right? So if you're having trouble with this clarity and finding out what you want, because a lot of you have already succeeded way farther than you ever thought you could imagine. And right now you're over your head. Because there's a point where a leader starts leading something that takes on a life of its own, and you're just going, oh, God, help me. Oh, God, help me. And then you know what I watch leaders doing? They start doing self-defeating behaviors, and they start trying to slow people down. And if you study anything God's ever done in this earth, men always slow it down to a level they can manage it and control it. And that's why you and I have got to be looking at something is, how do I get it out of my hands, and how do I make it easier and get there faster? Anytime you're complicated, you're wasting money. Anytime you're complicated. I got on a call with a Zoom team, about 4 or 5 people the other day, and I could not believe just an event they were trying to do, how complicated it got. And I just finally spoke up and I said, well, what I found out is simpler is always better. And simpler always costs less money and produces greater results. It's easy to sit around and think up these big grandiose ideas that cause people to struggle because it's not productive. Have you ever saw somebody that just keeps going back and getting more and more and more education, but they never do anything? Well, I'm getting ready. I would encourage you to get ready and go to work at the same time. Oh, I could never do that. Oh, yes, you can. You don't have any idea what you can do. So I just encourage you. Number one, prepare. Prepare. The future belongs to those who prepare. Right now, we're trying to manage and lead the present while we create tomorrow. What's tomorrow look like? Who do you need in your life? Most of us are not thinking big enough to attract the right people. And once you get a leader, don't try to manage them. I just want to encourage you right now, if you don't understand what I'm saying, if I'm not communicating to you, you need to get a hold of me, because this is more critical than I can ever tell you right now. And I will tell you this, I had a leader call me this week, who a leader called them and spoke down to them and told them 4 times what only took 1 time to say. And that leader called me, not the one that did that, the one that had it was done to, called me and said, I don't even want to do this. I said, now bro, this is your moment to lead above bad leadership. So you either respond and let him control you, or you rise up and do the right thing even when it was done the wrong way. Because leaders do the right thing at the right time for the right reason in the right way. All right, number 2, turn off all distractions. Can I tell you, it doesn't take a genius to know that every time your phone buzzes, what it does to your body. It distracts you, it takes you out. When mail pops up on your screen and you're in your office and you got to answer it immediately. And I know sometimes people get mad, and I am a firm believer. If somebody texts me, I'm going to be back with you within 12 hours and for certain within 24. But every now and then I miss it. But I can't stand when you text somebody and 5 days later they go, yes. I'm like, really? So I just want to beg you right now, you got to turn off the distractions. Why? You're letting the urgent get in front of the important. So right now in your life, when these things pop up, I just want to encourage you. Some of you want to be included in all the group texts. I'm like, don't put me in those. How do you get out when you get in? It's like Hotel California. I mean, you can check in, you can't check out. I'm like, this is ridiculous stuff. So here's what I can tell you. In your life, you will never be as productive as you need to be if you do not learn how not to be a nice guy. I got so offended. I had a friend of mine call me and goes, you're not a nice guy. I said, I am a nice guy. He goes, no, you're not a nice guy. I said, I am a nice guy. He said, you're nice to people, but you're not a nice guy. And I went, well, why are you making this point? He said, because nice guys finish last. I said, well, okay, talk to me a little bit more. He said, well, nice people, they'll be in a meeting doing what they need to do, and somebody will call and they let them interrupt them. Now listen, my wife and kids can call me anytime, and I'm going to take that interruption. Other than that, ain't going to happen. Why? We miss the miracle because we missed the moment. And it will get by you and to you and through you before you even have a chance. I just want to tell you this, that your best work comes in silence. Especially the creative work. Especially the moments where you're thinking and dreaming about tomorrow. So in your life right now, I have found out I work, and right now I'm really pleased with my work balance, work balance life. Because I've found out that if I get away, that quietness gives me a chance to think. You cannot believe how many times, honestly, I'm going to be very transparent, that when I go to sleep, I will say to God, Lord, I'm going to sleep, but my subconscious is available to you. If you want to give me a solution while I sleep, do it. I'm just open. When you get quiet, and it takes discipline, because whenever you're struggling, whenever you're discouraged, whenever things are not going the way you want them to go, your human side of you makes you want to speed up. And you think if you just work harder and harder and harder, you're gonna be better. You won't. It's called the ceiling of complexity. And you think when you were younger, well, I would just work harder and it would go away. When honestly, at this moment, you need to get a mentor and call them and say, can you get me unstuck? I'm stuck here. I'm stuck in this mental place. The third thing about your life is make your expectations flexible. Can I tell you, the greatest discouragement in life and disappointment is unmet expectations. Well, I thought if I did this, you would do this. I thought if I gave you this, then you would reciprocate. You would give back. And I just want you to know the hardest part about productivity is that it's not on a static playing field. It's not like, oh, I planned it this way and this is the way it's all going to work out. And I watch so many people, watch this, miss $1 million deals because it didn't fit into their schedule and it didn't fit into their plan. And right now you're bothering me. But most of the miracles in life and in business, I believe, happen when you're on your way doing what you should be doing, and all of a sudden you get this disruption. And if you can take a moment to take the disruption and listen and build a relationship, doesn't take that long, 3 to 4 minutes, you're not going to believe the $1 million deals that come your way just by asking questions. Do you know the most amazing thing at banks? When people go make a deposit, and right now we're doing everything online, I get that. But when people go to make a deposit, if the teller just looks at them and says, is there anything else I can do for you? The increase of business. Is there anything else outside of what we've discussed? Maybe, watch. Maybe the reason you and I got together was not even for the reason that we thought we were getting together. Maybe there's something bigger in here that I need to be looking for. So sometimes in life, I know you want a direct path. Sometimes take the scenic route. It will be frustrating, but I promise you, you're going to find in many cases that you would see success that you don't presently see, and it would keep you from failure because you see things differently. I am so concerned when I talk to leaders and they think they know it. They think they know it. I have made 4 phone calls today to people that have businesses that the leader doesn't have enough understanding that they should call their key players and ask them, what do you see? And so instead of me fighting them, guess what I do? I make the call and say, tell me what you see. And then I go back to that leader and go, hey, here's a couple of ideas, without trying to get any credit, without getting a fight started, without saying, guess who I checked with? Leaders make good things happen because they know how to ask right questions. My son talked about that. I have really worked hard on getting our children, my wife and I, to ask the right questions, the 3rd and 4th and the 5th layer questions. Okay? Not nosy, not probing, not disrespectful. Learn how to ask the right questions. I watch so many leaders who have not earned the right to enter a room and talk to certain people and ask them too personal questions. They don't know, they don't have enough wisdom not to do that. If you ask a leader, they will be cordial enough to go, well, yeah, but they'll mark in the back of their head, wow, they have no boundaries. So in your life right now, I just want to encourage you on this point right here. Make your expectations flexible. Let them change. Let them float. Listen, it's easy to organize something that's not growing. If something's growing, there's a really good chance it's always going to be messy. And you'll have everybody judging you going, well, why didn't you have that answer? And why didn't you do that? I go, Bo, I didn't know what to ask. I just got out of here, but let me tell you what we've decided. We've decided that no matter what comes up, we're going to find a solution. And when we do this, it just changes everything. Okay? The fourth is I want to encourage you to measure. Get feedback. Get feedback. If you can't measure it, don't do it. Now, let me just be really clear here right now. I'm not only talking about did we win, because most people don't even measure their success. They win and they don't know why they're winning. If something's working, I'm going to be going to somebody and saying, can you tell me why this works? If it's not working, you better believe I'm going to go, hey, why is this not working? You know, anytime you build a culture, after someone enters that culture for 30 days, they don't even feel it anymore because they now have become a part of it. But here's what you can do. You can watch us begin to destroy our culture by not holding the standards and the values and the beliefs and the behaviors and the disciplines that we need to have. It's what happens in marriage. It's what happens in relationships. When we're dating, guess what we do? We're so kind. Should be. We put on our best behavior. And then after we get married, we get short. And we don't use as much wisdom. And sometimes we just want to get to the point. So here's what I can tell you. If you cannot measure it, you do not know how to improve it. Why are you winning? Why are you winning? Why would somebody come to you? Why would you be the solution that they would choose? Why would they get in business with you? Why would they want to do business with you? Why would they want to be at men's locker room with you? Why would they not want to be? We've got to measure it and see what we can do. Number 5, share what you're working on for feedback with the right people. Okay? Don't share what you're working on with people that honestly don't care. They don't have anything invested. I will tell you this. The people that work for it versus the people that don't celebrate way differently. If you haven't put your life on the line for it, you really can't even celebrate it. You don't even know how to treat it. I'm amazed in life how many times people that don't work for it don't even know how to steward it. And they'll come over and they'll treat what you've worked your guts for with disdain. I was with my buddy one day. We were out on one of his big boats. And he was always philosophizing, which I loved. And he said to me, he goes, you know, if a 40-year-old climbs up on these seats with his shoes on dirty, it kind of upsets me. But when my grandkids come on, and we haven't trained them yet how to do it, I don't get upset. Leaders, you've got to understand discernment. And you've got to understand where people are. I know you want them to act a certain way, do a certain thing. They're not there yet. And they could be making $100 million a year. Wisdom and money go together only when it's stewarded. But you can make a lot of money and not have any wisdom at all. Isn't that amazing? Money follows ideas. Money follows service. And if you do these things and you do them well, wow, what a difference it makes. So here's what I would encourage you to do. Look for input. What do you see? How do you feel? People don't know this, but I'll give you a little secret about me. If somebody's serving, I will walk around and ask them, how does that feel? How was that experience? I love going to people that come and sign up to be on the leadership team here, and that's just the servant leaders here. And I love to go to them and go, how was that experience? You just worked with the children. What was that like? And normally it's done in such a conversation. They serve on the serve line, do whatever. Let me tell you, the greatest mistake you'll ever make in your life is not find out what fills people up and what empties them. Find it out. So, in your life right now, you can have a single conversation with somebody, very, very open, not direct, just asking light questions, and you have no idea how much you can find out what's working and what is not. And it's incredible, incredible information. 6, practice in public. Practice in public. When you talk about productivity, we often think I gotta seclude myself. And I did say go to silence, but I think there are a few people that you can let in, and especially if you want to train them, you can say, come and see. Just watch me. Just shadow me. Just watch what I do. I can't believe how much people can grow. Just your interactions with people, your care for people, your love for people, looking in people's eyes, slowing down your cadence. If you're with somebody that talks slower, then talk slower. If you're with somebody that talks fast, then speed up a little bit. Here's what I want to encourage you to do though, man. You have got to, honestly, you have got to get out and start being with people if you're going to encourage people, build people, inspire people, motivate people, and get their productivity up. Can I tell you, most of us get a very poor return on our time because we don't invest it in getting enough input, even on my own ideas. I'm just gonna be a little transparent with you about me. I walk off whenever I speak, and I love it when people encourage me. Oh, this is a great talk. I love that, and I need that. But people that are closest to me know what I really need to hear. Was I clear? Was I clear? There's a whole lot of talking going on in this world, and so I just want to encourage you, go public. Find out ways to practice in public. Don't be afraid or ashamed to not do it right. All the greatest leaders in the world don't do it right. And I want to tell you this right now, and I'm going to confuse the mess out of you. But here we go. Are you ready? Most of you are so good at what you do, nobody thinks they can do it. And you can't grow. I built a network marketing company. I went from 15 people to 900 people in 9 months. And about 3 months into it, I started realizing I was so good at doing what I did that the new people would walk in the room, and you know what they would say? I can't do that. So guess what I did? I started having people pay out more than they were making. And I go, oh, no, that's not right. I started messing up. And guess what happened? All the men and women in the room went, we don't want him to come doing ours. I'm going to do it myself because he can't even remember the numbers. And I had a really highfalutin guy come to me and go, what are you doing messing up? Do you not know your homework? I said, no, let me tell you what I did. I moved it from me to we. And if all you want to do is impress people with your gifts, talents, and abilities, and not let them see their gifts, their talents, their ability, and taking responsibility, that's how we drive it down. That's how we drive it down. Well, Tim, how do I make sure that they're not messing up? I'm glad you asked. Vision, mission, values, behaviors. I should be able to walk into any business and see the behaviors. I should be able to see the values. Guess what I should see? I do this for companies. I should see a value. I should see what it means. And I got to see a behavior that makes it live. If you don't do those 3 steps, the values mean nothing but words on a wall. And if you don't live it, no one will ever feel it. So remember, people very rarely remember what you say, but they do remember how you made them feel. The 7th thing is I want you to stay fit. I want you to stay fit. It's hard to be productive when you don't feel good. I don't like what my wife does to me, making me eat right. But I do love the fact that I probably have more energy than 18-year-old men. I have more energy. Do you know why? She's going, baby, we got to be thinking about 30 years from now, not right now. I have been reminded in the last week about choices. Choices. Every day of my life, I'm just telling you, and I want to be really careful because I don't like it when people get on a pedestal and start preaching. I don't like it at all. And so I just want to be very transparent in my own walk, though, to tell you that it's so different for me to reach for a piece of celery than it is a Butterfinger. I'm not saying I'm happy, but I am more joyful, and I have energy like you cannot imagine. You right now, you've got to stay fit. I understand the values of soul, mind, body, and spirit just being full of energy. I know some of you have underlying health things. I get that. Take care of yourself. But right now, you know what I want to say to my children? Right now in your 20s, you're setting up your 40s and your 60s. So right now, have I always done right? No, I'm the biggest Big Mac eater in the world. But I run, so that kind of helps. And I would also like to say this. Understand the value of caffeine. A little energy drink, a little coffee every now and then. Yeah, baby, that'll do it, all right? Stay fit. If you're not taking any kind of food supplement, get on it. Hey, look, God knows the numbers of our days. But I want to stand before him and say, God, I did the best I could to stay in the game for as long as I could. We cannot stop from aging, but we can age well. And so I just encourage you to do that right now. The 8th thing, and this is really important, I could do a whole hour on this right here alone, because I think leaders live to create atmosphere, environment. It's everything. I'm telling you, right now, get the right lighting, get the right furniture, get the right decor, get it where people walk in and they feel close, they feel warm. I had the greatest mentors in all the world in this. When I didn't have anything, and everything intimidated me because honestly, we had outdoor bathrooms. And so for me, even to just step into that, you have no idea. I had a friend of mine that just started sending me. He owned the world's largest airplane company, and we wore the same size suit. And he would send me his $1,000 Armani suits. And he'd go, take this, wear this. And then he taught me how to make the suit go away. Because if clothes are the only thing people see when they see you, they're seeing the wrong thing. They've got to see the realness in you, the love in you, the care in you, the concern in you, the value in you. And some people will judge you. Some people don't know that they shouldn't judge a book by the cover. Don't worry about it. You just let truth win out in time. I also think music is way undervalued in environments. There's something about playing, honestly, for me, worship music, or I love gut string guitar. I love Brazilian horns. And there's something about music. My wife laughs at me, but every morning when I get up, the first thing I do is go in before I brush my teeth or anything, is I hit play, either on music or a podcast. Why? If you don't feed your spirit, and if you don't feed your mind, if you don't feed your soul, all this other stuff doesn't matter. I love being around a leader that absolutely knows what it means to correctly create environment. When you come to G5, I would love to show you our green room. It used to be a barn. And there were actually horses and cattle in it and tractors. If you walk in, there's still oil stains on the floor. But we've changed it, and now leaders love and coming to walk into that atmosphere. Leaders create atmosphere. If I was doing a marriage seminar right now, you know what I would say to you? Men, don't expect your wife to create all the atmosphere. Matter of fact, I believe we should set the tone. And so I want to work really hard as a leader to set an atmosphere that's uplifting, inspiring, challenging. It breeds creativity. You ever get in some environments and you just feel yourself shrink? I just encourage you to do that. By the way, you carry that with you. You carry that with you. Energy is one of the most incredible things. I'm not talking about do-do-do-do. I'm talking about enthusiasm, positivity. It's up. And I got to tell you, I'm not really just kind of naturally that way. I have a brother that he has to take LSD to come down. Let me just tell you that right now. He lives on another planet. I'm just telling you. But I've learned the value. So much that I wrote a book on it, The Science of Enthusiasm. What it will do to your paycheck. And I just call it boom. Because it is the explosive that's inside of you. 9, take breaks. Productivity means can I tell you, if you're working 8 hours straight, 10 hours straight without taking a 10-minute walk, I think you're missing it. I think you're missing a moment with quietness. Just get out. Can I tell you the research now about how people that just get up from their desk and walk outside 3 or 4 times a day, the depression that goes away in their soul. There's something about being in the sunlight. There's something about getting outside that makes all the difference in the world. You might be able to swing 1 or 2 days of just burning the candle at both ends, but I promise you, at some point, you will burn out. And I have integrity when I talk about this. Because I used to be the guy that wouldn't sleep for 3 days. And I thought I was getting ahead. And what happens is that you burn everything good, and somewhere, you're going to leave somebody out that needs you. For me, it was my family. I gave all my best to the world. Now, I'm going to tell you, I still work. My family works. We're all about work. But I just want to encourage you, take a moment and renew and restore and reboot. The 10th thing, and I close, thank you for your attention, is create a daily routine. A daily routine. And keep adjusting it. Adjust it to new dreams. Adjust it to new truths. Adjust it to understanding now, this is my mission. I am amazed in life. I had a friend of mine say to somebody the other day, when I do what I'm supposed to do for God, He seems to open doors for me that would have not normally opened. I can just tell you, there's something to be said about people that have a routine. I'm not talking about they're boring or they're not adaptable, they're not flexible, but I'm just telling you, you're going to find out in your life that there's something in a musician's life when they play and practice every day at the same time. There's something about a salesperson that gets up and gets their mind right and goes sells. It changes everything. There's something about the routine of somebody that gets up every day and they make the toughest calls first. The ones you don't want to make. The ones you're going, I got to do it. I asked a friend of mine one day, I said, how are you going to make that call? He said, it's on my schedule. Wow. That means my decisions are more powerful than my emotions. So as you begin to move forwards, there's just something to be always said about practicing at the same time, working out at the same time, writing at the same time. You train yourself to do it. And I got to tell you, when you train yourself to be your best and to do your best, wow, look out for it. It's going to change the world. Leaders that have routines, watch this, can be duplicated. Now here's what I encourage you about you. When I was younger, I used to love to stay up really late at night. I'm talking about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And I would sleep till 10, and then I would go to work. Okay? Now, I like to go to bed a little bit earlier, and I get up a lot earlier. Okay? And I'm not asking you to take on my life. I'm just telling you for me. You've got to study yourself where you are right now and find out your most productive hours. Can I tell you? Most of us and all the employees in the world have 4 hours a day when they're more productive than any other time. Just recently, I had to have an air conditioner replaced at my home. And I was amazed at this young man that came to our house. And truthfully, it almost brought me to tears. Because he could have snowed me. And it was an older unit. And he could have said, you need to buy a new unit. And he said, no, this has got a lot of life in it. Let me work on it. And I watched him work until 9 o'clock. And I went, wow. Routine. We have excellence. In your life, it can tell you, if you don't have routine, it's going to be exhausting. Because you're continually having to figure out, what should I be doing right now? What should I be doing right now? What should I be doing right now? This is what I got to do right now. Dads, this is what I got to do right now. When I come home from work, this is what I've got to do right now. My family needs me. We need each other. I just got off of a call of a young man that just said, I'm empty. I'm married, but there's no fire. So I just want to encourage you in your life right now. Routine is extremely helpful, and it removes distractions, and it keeps you from chasing new. Mundane. Master the mundane. Master the basics. Be the best at what you do. Are you the best at what you do? If not, why? This is your moment. Go charge. Make a difference. I believe in you.